So I'm in my private office that I'd been in for 7 years. And suddenly I get 3 texts of 3 clients back-to-back rescheduling. Rescheduling happens, but never 3 back-to-back. And because I had a full back-to-back day of clients, I never didn't bring any backup work. And that particular day, I rode my motorcycle to work. Occasionally I did that. And this day I did. So I had 4 hours to kill and nothing going on. And so I thought, well, I'm overdue for a physical. I've got some time right now. I'll go up the street to the clinic and I'll get a physical. I was doing some research for my upcoming book because I was already writing an author, and there were some risks involved. So part of my contract was to get a physical. So I decided to do this. And the only reason I know this is because apparently I called my girlfriend and said to her, I asked her to come take a hike with me, and she said, I can't, I got to go to work. And I said, okay, I'm going to go up the street to get a physical. Otherwise I would never know this. 7 years in that office, 3 clients call and reschedule. I decide to go get a physical. I go down to the parking garage. I get on my motorcycle. It's a very unusual motorcycle. I change my clothes into riding clothes. And as I exit the garage, for the first time in 7 years in that office, I turned right instead of left. I will never know why. To this day, I don't know why. The right turn was traffic and rather major boulevard, and the left turn was easy, quiet side streets into town. I never turned right. For some reason that day I did. Less than a quarter mile away, I stopped at a traffic light to make a left turn on a major boulevard. And as the green arrow went exclusively turned green for me, I was the only person in the left turn lane. Wasn't too late in the day. It was kind of quiet. And as I eased out to make my left turn for a green arrow that was just for me, a full-size SUV went through the light on the other side and hit me in the face, killing me instantly. Now, again, I want to remind you that everything I've said to you up to this point will play into this overall evidence of, I think, of the divine interventions. Even that I said I changed my clothes. You'll see this in a moment. I'm dead in the street. Now, I did not have the OB, the out-of-body experience. The moment of the impact, my consciousness and my spirit catapulted. I left. I was like, I don't need to be here. This is traumatic. I don't need to be here whatsoever. And I immediately teleported to the other side in an instant. And I was someplace peaceful and calm and loving and secure. And whatever was going off on earth, I had no idea and didn't care. I knew what was happening to me. I was very aware. I wasn't confused. I had absolute certainty, and I felt safe and secure, and nothing was shocking to me. Back on the world, on one corner of the intersection is a tire store to this day. And in front of that tire store was a pastor. He was the first man on the scene. He pulled my body from underneath the carriage of the car that was burning me and scalding me. I was bleeding from my nose, my eyes, my mouth, and my ears, and I was dead, and he began reading me my last rites. Our Father who art in heaven. And he figured God put him at that time at that place for a reason, and he was doing all he could to fulfill his purpose. On the other corner is a Jack in the Box restaurant. In the front of the drive-through line were 2 paramedics getting lunch. Had they wanted tacos instead of burgers that day, I would not be here. Had they been in the back of that line, behind anyone, I would not be here. They were in the front of the line, saw the accident as it occurred, and were on the scene in seconds, bringing my body back to life. Behind the Jack in the Box is a DMV. There was a young man going into the DMV at that time that happened to be my son's best friend, one of his best friends. His name is Sam. Even though he does not live in that area, he is never in that area, but he had a rare need to be at DMV at that day on that exact time. And this is how my family was alerted to the accident, because my phone, my ID was tossed in the crowd, crashed, gone. He phoned my son, who was at work at In-N-Out Burger, thinking about Dodger scores and his firefighting career. And his friend said, Brandon, your dad's been in an accident. Pardon me, the things that are most emotional for me are not my trauma. It's when it causes fear or heartache for other people that I love. That's what, it's hard for me to explain without getting worked up. I don't want to be a source of pain. And he said, how do you know it's my dad? And he goes, it's his bike. No one has a bike like that. It's a very unusual motor scooter. And that's when my family was alerted to go to the hospital. Now, when I said that I changed my clothes, I have a collection of t-shirts from places I've been to around the world, and from Stonehenge to CERN in Switzerland, and concerts, legendary concerts I've been to. So my little memento, kind of been there, done that, got the t-shirt kind of thing. The t-shirt that I grabbed that particular day, out of the dozens that I have, was from the Museum of Death. It's a place in Hollywood. It's really fun. It's really kind of wild and dark and creepy and cool. And I kind of like that kind of stuff. And that's the particular shirt that I happened to grab that day. Now, I don't have it in front of me. I don't have it with me. Or I'd show it to you, because I have that shirt to this day. It's sheared in half because the paramedics had to shear it off of me to revive me. And I kept the shirt. They put it in a bag. When they found my belongings, they put it in a bag and it went with me, and I still have it. They put me in an ambulance and took me to ICU. If the hospital had been any farther away, I would not be here. If this accident would happen at my house, just a couple miles east of this from my office, I would not be here. There is just a collection of many miracles taking place here that are intervening. And of course, there's a part of me that wondered, hey God, since you're doing all this stuff to make all these things happen, paramedic on one corner, pastor on the other corner, my t-shirt, and turning right to the left, how about just have the bike, how about I just have the truck miss me and not hit me in the first place? I was in a coma, a stage 3 Glasgow. If you Google that, you will learn that a stage 3 Glasgow coma is synonymous with death. Literally, EMT, emergency medical people, when you're in a stage 3 Glasgow, they simply shrug their shoulders and say it's up to God now. There's nothing they can do. When my family got to the hospital, they were met by 2 doctors and a priest. That's not a good sign. And the doctor was telling them, if he ever wakes up, which by the way, he won't. They're trying to ease them into this. If he ever wakes up, which no one has, one person since like 1980 something has woken up from stage 3, he will be damaged, probably beyond repair, and likely a vegetable, and not be able to take care of himself. My girlfriend went into absolute denial and said, oh, okay, so he'll be okay, we'll take him home soon. And her daughter looked at her and said, did you not just hear what the doctor said? She said, yeah, we'll take him home soon. I woke up 9 days later on my birthday. It gets hard to deny with this collection of things that are documented. We got the paperwork of all these things in the police report and the accident report, etc. It becomes hard to deny the involvement of a divine essence. There's just too many. It becomes irrefutable. I woke up on my birthday of all days. I have 2 photos of me in the hospital. Well, there's a couple after, when I was there for about 2 months. The first one, and I don't know how anybody got it, is me with a respirator on my face and scars and lacerations in my face full of blood and bashed in, and it's terrible and it's horrifying. And I got a tube down my throat. And I woke up 9 days later. The second picture is my son and my girlfriend's daughter sitting next to me holding happy birthday balloons and a cupcake with a candle in it. And I don't have a scratch on me. When they said to my family, when he wakes up, if he ever does, even with extensive plastic surgery, he's going to be deformed for life. I did not know who I was. I did not know how to talk. I did not know how to walk. I did not know anything. I'm not saying I had amnesia. I'm saying it was like my identity was deleted. Who I was and what I was completely annihilated. So I had to relearn how to talk and how to walk. And I started with physical therapy and doing these things right away in the hospital. Now that's the material side of these things. Here's a little bit more of the spiritual. When I woke up and I'm struggling to think and I'm trying to form words, and I was asked by some hospital administrator nurse, do you know who this is? In a very condescending way, and it was offensive to me. I didn't know anything was going on, but I don't know why I felt that was really condescending. And I was like, I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of treating me like a child. And I said, sure, she's the queen, to my girlfriend. We didn't have pet names for each other. We always called each other by our names. We don't really like pet names. We never had pet names. I didn't know who she was. I just thought, now, this is because I learned later, and I was kind of learning at the time. Because of my coexisting in two dimensions at once now, two-thirds of my consciousness is still within the portal, the other side dimension, that what I call is the portal. And a third of me is in my body. So I am very confused because I'm wondering, as I'm seeing people, everything from nurses to my girlfriend to my son, like, why do you people think you're Brandon? You're not just Brandon. And I was seeing a string of identities that he's had throughout many lifetimes. And same thing with my girlfriend, same with hospital nurses. I'm seeing this long string of identities that I'm seeing their soul, not them as individuals, as material people. I'm seeing their eternal spirit and soul. And I thought it was normal. I'm wondering why everyone else is acting like they're just these people instead of these eternal infinite souls. And I'm confused. I'm literally was saying to them, why are you guys doing this? And I said, at one point, why are you in London? How'd you guys get into London so fast? Because I thought I was in London. I didn't think. And I don't know what you or your listeners' beliefs are in reincarnations, but I can tell you that I had absolute verified memory. It wasn't vague or fuzzy. My last lifetime was in London. And so I was confused. I didn't know which lifetime I was in. They all were kind of conglomerating together, and I was experiencing many of them. So the phenomena, the NDE phenomena that I was having, which, by the way, at this time, I never even heard the term NDE. I may have heard of it because being involved with mysticism and spirituality since I was a youth, since I was a kid, but I didn't know what it was. And I'm coexisting in two dimensions. When my body was asleep, my consciousness was completely awake and alert and aware within the other dimension of the portal, and interacting with and communicating with what I now call Akashic agents, angels, you could say, just sentient, intelligent, loving presences. And anytime I was unconscious in the world, that's where I was instantly. And even when I was conscious in the world, I was far more aware and connected to this other side dimension than I was to the material world. I couldn't relate to the material world. It didn't make any sense to me. My NDE of this magnitude persisted for 4 years. I had to learn who I was, how to talk, how to walk. I did not know anything about myself. I learned about myself when my son started showing me pictures. And he showed me pictures that I'd been a scuba diver and traveled around the world, and I was a 4-0 tennis player, and I'm looking at this stuff thinking, I can't be that guy. I'm this broken, shattered individual. Now, the trauma that I experienced, I'm going to go and bounce back and forth between the supernatural and the worldly, because we're always existing with both. The brain trauma that I experienced was called a DAI, a diffuse axonal injury. That's when the white and gray layers of your brain shift and sever completely. Billions of neurons that are in charge of different tasks, like moving your finger, speaking, listening, talking, whatever else, were completely severed and separated. They don't grow back. You have to reteach them. 90%, again, I learned this much later, 90% of DAI sufferers, you can Google this and look it up, it's verifiable, 90% of DAI sufferers never regain consciousness. See, the tears, they come from different areas. There's the sorrow of causing pain to people that I love, and there's also the evidence of absolute miracles and feeling special that I was not special, humbled by divine intervention. So the intensity of the balancing between both dimensions was very intense for 4 years. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of tragedy going on here. There's also a lot of beauty. There's also a lot of gorgeous experiencing and perceiving. I felt at home and in comfort each and every time I was within the portal. Whenever I went to sleep in the world, I felt completely at peace, like everything made sense to me. I wasn't having dialogue with Akashic angels and agents that were telling me things. It was like instantly uploaded. Like I wasn't curious and then I would get answers. It was like they already knew what I was curious about. And I was given insights, of course, as many do, into the meaning of existence and how it functions and all these kind of things. And as a person, I was fascinated and became a scholar, a master theologue, a master hermetic spiritualist. I mean, I studied religions because I love them all. And I know them better than most pastors and priests and people that are officials within their own religions, because I revere them all. And so I wasn't really learning anything new, you could say, while I was within the portal. What I was getting was confirmation that what I'd studied, what I'd spent my lifetime researching and looking into was being confirmed as legit and genuine, because I was never satisfied with the surface layers. I always went, you could say, down the rabbit hole of the religious rabbit hole to seek the truth, the true stories. I know that the biblical narratives, for example, I've always known since I was a young man studying them that a lot of it is embellished to tell a story and to teach lessons. And a lot of it, the core of it, is true. And it truly happened the way it's described with some slight modifications. As mystics, we refer to this as the underground stream. That's the true history and body of knowledge of things. And so I wasn't given usually these profound new revelations while I was in the portal. It was confirmation that many of the things that I had studied and learned as I searched and sought for connection with God and the Lord, that I found the truth. And I'm grateful for that.